Ons het verlede week berig oor die vele uitdagings wat die Johannesburg-metro en sy nuwe burgemeester DA van die ANC begroet het na Dr. Mpho Phalatse van die DA deur 'n mosie van wantroue as burgemeester verwyder is. Om verder te gesels oor haar terugvegstrategie om die metro weer onder die beheer van 'n DA-koalisie te kry, sluit Dr. Phalatse nou by my aan. Dr. Phalatse, so it's been a few weeks since your ousting. We know you are contesting it, but take us back to that day. What, in your opinion, led to your ousting as mayor?
Well, I mean, as things unfold and as we see how people are aligning themselves, it's becoming clearer what happened. I believe that one of our partners, we were in a 9-party coalition. The Patriotic Alliance was one of the 9 political parties. They struck a deal with the African National Congress, and I believe that's the real reason why our coalition collapsed, because of whatever that the ANC could offer them that we couldn't offer them. A lot of people have been speculating that a lot of the issues emanated from the choice of candidate for speaker. Since the motion of no confidence against our speaker, Councillor Vasco da Gama, and we needed to replace him with another speaker, there was a lot of to and fro between the different parties on who should be put forward within the coalition. And there's been this popular narrative that that's what collapsed the coalition. But it's becoming clearer and clearer that actually that was not the case. In fact, one IFP member of parliament said that it was the Patriotic Alliance that put the idea in the minds of the IFP for them to ask for the speaker position. What was interesting, however, is that even when that was considered by the coalition partners, at the very end, the PA was still not willing to vote for an IFP candidate. So you could just see that it was just a smokescreen, and that the real issue was that they had struck a deal with the ANC.
So the Patriotic Alliance's Gauteng provincial leader, Ashley Sauls, was on in Gesprek last week, and he had this to say about the DA.
The DA was arrogant. Die DA verstaan nie koalisieregering nie. Dat as jy vernote het, if you have partners, that these are equal partners, whether you have a little number of seats, but it's those smaller parties that is giving you government. En so die DA verstaan nie dat vernote moet saamwerk, maar die DA wil hê kleiner partye moet vir hulle werk.
Dr. Phalatse, what's your reaction to that?
It's quite interesting. I worked very well with Councillor Ashley Sauls. He was MMC Health and Social Development when I was mayor, and it's very interesting to hear him speak like this, because that's not the experience I had at all with him when we worked together. But I also understand he's a politician. I also understand he has to toe the party line. There is a popular narrative that's being peddled out there about the DA being arrogant. We see it over and over whenever it's expedient to do so. It's like a fallback position, you know, whenever there's an issue. So I do understand that he is towing the party line and saying what he has to say. I don't believe that's what he really believes, because I worked closely with him, and I can tell you now that was not his experience in our coalition.
But do you think in a big coalition like the one you had, that it is possible to keep all coalition partners happy?
No, I mean, you've got 9 partners, you know, and it's not possible that at any given point, all 9 partners will be happy. There'll be instances where the DA is not happy. There'll be instances where other parties aren't happy. It's about give and take, and it's about compromise. It is a game of compromise through and through. We're not the same, and that's why we're in 9 different political parties, but we've got to work towards a common vision, and it means somewhere, something's got to give all the time.
But you were willing to compromise.
We're always willing to compromise. We've compromised a lot. I mean, I'll give you an example. We had to appoint a city manager in Johannesburg. We had a great candidate that we lost to the city of Tshwane. There were issues with some of our coalition partners not wanting to support the appointment of this particular candidate. And we compromised with the Democratic Alliance, and we said, fine, let the candidate go to Tshwane and we'll start over in Johannesburg. Was it painful? Oh, yes, it was. We had a very good candidate, probably one of the best in the country. And because of our partners and wanting to build a future together where we can continue to govern, continue to build our city, we chose to compromise. So we compromise all the time.
There's also this narrative that you were told what to do by the DA's leadership and that you were willing to make certain concessions but that you were overruled by party leadership. Is that what happened?
Another lie. Absolutely not true. I mean, I've clarified this on social media where it was being peddled. Absolutely untrue. There's constant consultation between myself and party leadership. In fact, on local issues, they always want to hear what's the status on the ground, what do I think should happen, and that's what happened this time around. So it's absolutely not true.
Is it frustrating for you as a member of the DA to be subjected to this narrative that you don't have your own voice, especially as a prominent black member of the party?
It's insulting, really. It really is, because to think that I would sit in a situation where I'm being suppressed and oppressed like that, it's undermining, you know, and it's really an insult to my intelligence. I would never stay in a situation where I didn't have a voice, where I had no agency. So, yeah, so it is an insult. It is frustrating to keep defending myself, but also to keep defending the party.
So you're in the opposition benches now in the Johannesburg-metro. What is your strategy in keeping the ANC accountable and also to try to bring back the coalition that you were leading?
Well, technically, we were not legally ousted. So technically, yes, we are in opposition, but technically we believe that legally we are still the legitimate government of the city, and that's what we're contesting in court. We will be in court this week. It was meant to be tomorrow. I believe it might be Wednesday or Thursday, so we're just waiting to hear. And we believe that the court will reinstate us as the legitimate government of the city. In the meantime, yes, we're keeping a close eye on what's happening, on developments. We're quite concerned about the water crisis. We're concerned about how it's being managed. We're concerned about the lack of leadership, but most importantly, we're concerned about the corruption that we're already seeing play out in the last 2 weeks alone, in decisions that have been made, key appointments, acting appointments, and key senior positions in the city, you know, where people with very dodgy pasts, people who've been investigated for all kinds of fraud, corruption, maladministration, have been trusted with huge responsibilities. That's very concerning. Some of the directives that have been given, for instance, that boards should be inactive, that they should not make any decisions, that decisions from the 1st of September onwards of the various boards must be in abeyance. Very concerned about that. The decision to advertise to replace all the boards of entities, very concerned about that decision. So we're quite concerned about what's happening in a very short space of time.
Is there a continuous dialogue between yourself and some of your coalition members and partners, former partners? In other words, is there an opportunity for you to sort of bring that coalition back and to get rid of the ANC?
Absolutely. We will never give up the fight. We can't accept that, you know, the city is going to be run by a corrupt cabal. So we are ready for the fight. We've put up the fight. That's why we're going to court. That's one of the strategies. But of course, we've got to win the political fight as well, getting our partners back on board and seeing how we get the numbers to work in the favor of our residents.
But when you do negotiate with your partners, it just sometimes seems as though the most important thing for those people that sit around the table is positions and not the needs and the service delivery needs of the residents of Johannesburg.
Well, I mean, it would be sad if that were the case. I do believe that, yes, people are concerned about positions, but I also think that people want to protect their own ideologies and make sure that there's representation for their constituencies in whatever decision making. So I think it's a bit of both. But I do think that we need to maintain a very delicate balance. It must be about residents.
So leading up to 2024 and the possibility that the ANC might dip below 50%, what's your message to South Africans who look at what happened in Johannesburg and think coalitions, even if that is our future, it's extremely unstable?
Absolutely. I mean, we've been saying as the Democratic Alliance over and over that it's unwise to split the opposition vote like this, because that's why we're in this position. We ended up with a 9-party coalition because none of us had enough numbers to govern. And I hope that our residents are watching and following developments quite closely and using this as a learning curve. 2024 is very close, you know, and I hope that we can make wiser decisions then.
Certainly. Dr. Phalatse, thank you so much.